Well, welcome everybody. We're going to talk today here with Jaime Ramirez from Preventer. He's the founder and CEO. Hi, Jaime.
Hi, Ale. How are you?
Good.
Nice to see you here.
So the idea is to have a conversation about trends in fraud prevention and what the technology that's coming up the pipeline and the latest in this industry. And of course, you are the expert in that. So shall we begin?
Kind of it. Not the expert.
But of course, the last year with the pandemic, fraud and risk control took a very different turn, an accelerated turn for sure.
Mm-hmm.
So what are the major trends that you've seen and what do you see coming the coming year?
I think that the trends in fraud right now is the hottest part is the identity theft, right? Is how the people are doing business with through remotely, and the lack of most of the company, they were not prepared for this. Most of the company they've been doing business as they used to do it before pandemic. So and that is a good disadvantage for businesses because they're receiving a lot of payments. There are people that were not, they're doing those, and in different industries, not only payments, chargebacks on the credit cards, opening different type of accounts in retail businesses, etc.
So, and also, basically we've seen a rise in fraud in payment systems. And what other types of systems have you seen a rise in fraud too?
Well, I mean, in order to be prepared for this, company needs to automate the self onboarding of the people, to identify the person, and not only to identify the person, is to identify who they're doing business with. And in the financial services, it's a requirement to do the KYC after the digital identity. This is something that before pandemic used to do, asking the customer coming to your office or coming to the branch, asking for a lot of questions. Now everything has to do electronically. So the best way to do this is to have an automated system that do the verification step by step in a very efficient way, and using the right technology.
So there is a Federal Reserve report saying that digital identity theft is the fastest growing financial crime in the US. How do you recommend, for smaller companies to prepare or to work on digital fraud threats and concerns?
Yeah, actually, that's a synthetic fraud, synthetic identity fraud, right? Which is more like before they were using transactions using your credit card. They were doing transactions, accessing your bank account, and that is basically the like I said before, is because everybody is doing transactions, the volume of transactions remotely. What small companies have to do is to integrate these processes into their onboarding system. If they can do not only the onboarding, but also post-onboarding for the ongoing authentication to verify if the person is the correct person or not, doing a face recognition, video liveness detection, voice recognition, etc. That's one of the things that they need to do to mitigate this risk.
And how do you mitigate those, like the threat in real time? Because that's what businesses need. They need to stop a transaction while it's happening, and really make sure that it's stopped on its tracks, especially payments, right?
I mean, what you can do is always to minimize the risk. No, you cannot say that you're going to eliminate the risk. You have the tools. If you are implementing the digital identity verification at the self-onboarding, you also need to have the back office case management tools to resolve any issue that you encounter that you find at the beginning. To stop the transaction is something that it depends of how the business has the appetite of risk, if they wanna stop the transaction, if they find something there are some alerts that arise, or if you wanna pass depending of the transaction, depending on the risk of the transaction, a threshold, etc. Right? But the only way to go into that moment to define which one or which transaction is the one that I'm gonna accept or not is to previously to have everything automated at the beginning, at the onboarding.
Let's go over exactly what technologies we can use for fraud prevention and the latest. And let's not scare people with these. They're not generally people see in voice recognition or face liveness detection, and they assume is accessible only to enterprise clients too. And it's something that it has reached everyone, right?
It sounds complicated, but it depends how do you want to use it. No, in our case, in Preventor, what we do is that we specialize in the financial services and the compliance services for a long time. So we think that it's not about only to implement the technology, is to enhance your business process, right? Is to how are you gonna integrate this piece into my business workflow? For that, at Preventor, for example, we provide the APIs, the SDK technology to integrate it with the app of the fintech or any company, any financial services, a bank, or credit union, or insurance company, or a payment system. They can integrate it with their onboarding system. After that, for the ongoing authentication, they can also be implemented very easy with a very few lines of code into their business workflow.
So basically, we're talking about apps or software integrations that go into any of the customer journey phases and actually integrate through API quite easily, right?
It's very easy to integrate it through the APIs. We have a set of APIs, a set of web APIs for integrations on apps that are running on the desktops. We have also the SDKs for apps that are running on the native mobile operating systems. We provide a platform on the back office for the people to monitor all the customers that are on board, the KYC management, the case management, if anything arises that is any alert was generated during any of the processes.
How user-friendly is the onboarding process for through the apps of Preventor?
Well, basically, the self-onboarding has to be user-friendly and very easy to integrate. And what we're trying to accomplish is that the whole process has to be done in less than 60 seconds. The whole process of the verification. If anything is not okay, then it will create an alert for the back office. But if everything is passed, the customer should receive a successful response in less than 60 seconds.
So how do let's go over what is it that differentiates Preventor's platform from the rest out there in the market?
The technology is more or less the same that everyone is offering. One of the major differentiator is how easy can be integrated into your app, into your application. And also, how are you going to integrate this technology into my business process? So it's to understand the business. It's more like instead of buying a technology, is to have a business partner go with you, to help you grow, not only to resolve the problem of the self-service onboarding, but also to issues on the compliance, because the compliance process it not only involves at the time of the onboarding, but also the ongoing monitoring of the customer. We integrate the onboarding, the watch list screening, which is our product, the AML risk screening, plus the compliance platform, which involves know your customer, know your business, case management, transaction monitoring, etc. So we have the whole end-to-end integration, but it can be implemented by modules or the entire platform.
And let's close with this. What should companies be looking out for in terms of fraud? What do you see coming for 2022 that we hope is better than in 2021?
Well, I hope so, yes. But definitely to identify the person that you are doing business with is a must right now. Even though it's not a requirement for the regulations of the know your customer or anti-money laundering or fraud prevention is not a requirement, but it's a must for the companies. There is something that we always say, garbage in, garbage out, right? So if you don't know the person that you're gonna receive as a customer, or you're gonna establish a relationship as a customer, if you are not very that you know the person that is the person, then everything else that you do after, is a waste of time, money, and everything. So I think that's one. The other thing is that obviously to do the entire process of mitigate the risk of any fraud transaction.
Perfect. Okay, Jaime, thank you very much. This has been very
Thank you, Ale.